In this video, we're going to talk about how to ask for a political endorsement. And you bet your sweet bippy, I am going to answer that question. In addition, I'm going to tell you what to do before you ask and the proper way to ask for one when it comes time to do the ask. Stay with me. As we get into this video, I'm going to make a profoundly truthful statement. Relationships are the gas that powers the car. Without relationships, you are going to have trouble getting endorsements. For the same reason you can't get very far down the road if you have no gas in the car. So there are certain rudiments and fundamentals to this, and we're doing a deep dive into that in this video. Let's start with those relationships by first asking, relationships with who? Well, if you're running for office, you're probably running on a party line. That means you need relationships with people in leadership positions in your party. If you are running for office, that means you're going to be on the ballot with other elected officials in your jurisdiction, and it helps to have relationships with incumbents who are running for re-election in your jurisdiction. If you are running for office, you need relationships with influential people in your community, relationships with organizations that should support you if they learn what you stand for. You need relationships with civic and community leaders in your jurisdictions. The more the relationships you have, the greater the number of relationships you have, the easier it is to get endorsements. Now, if you're just starting out and you don't know any influential people, I'm going to say right at the outset, you are handicapped in a political campaign in terms of getting endorsements. That means you have a tall mountain to climb in front of you. So here's the way to handle that. You can wait for a different time when you have established those relationships, or you can concentrate on doing that very early in your campaign or before you make an announcement, because you will not get endorsements from people that matter unless they know you and like you and believe in what you stand for. And the only way to establish those is quite often face-to-face conversations. Those take time, but if you have none in your community, you face a handicap right out of the gate. Why are those relationships important? It's because when you have a relationship with somebody over a period of time, you have interacted, they have made judgments about your character, your integrity, your basic honesty, based upon your body language, how they interact with you, the conversations you've had. They've made judgments about the level of commitment that you have to certain causes. All of this leads to a certain thing called trust. When you're asking someone for an endorsement, you're asking people to stick their neck out on your behalf. And if they think that your character is defective, or if they think you have trouble with the truth, they're going to be slow to give you an endorsement. In fact, even more likely, they're not going to give you one. And I'm going to illustrate this with a story. There was once a person who wanted to run for governor of New York. He had represented a certain county in the state legislature. And he asked me pro bono, in other words, for free, to come meet him at a diner in this county because he wanted to introduce me to one of the influential people in the county that I could talk to so that I knew who the people in that county were likely to endorse him, and even cut a campaign check to his budding campaign for governor. So the three of us were on time. We sat in this little booth in the diner. The candidate introduced the two of us and invited to talk, and then excused himself to go to a different meeting. As soon as he was out of earshot, the woman across the booth from me looked me squarely in the eye and said, "You are not going to raise any money from him in this county. You're not going to find anybody that wants to endorse him in a race for governor." And I said, "Why?" He says, "Because there isn't anybody in this county that he hasn't lied to." I knew then that I would never work for that candidate. And that is a prime example of the way relationships unfold. If that's what people who know you think of you, you are not going to get endorsements. You're going to have to go win your campaign a different way. If you have built those strong relationships over time, you're going to find that it's pretty easy to get endorsements. Now let's turn to the ask. When you want somebody's endorsement and the time has come to solicit it, be prepared for the meeting. It's best on really important endorsements to meet with the person whose endorsement you want face to face. And you don't beat around the bush, you get right to the point. You say, "I'm running for this office. I really need your help. Would you consider publicly endorsing me and my candidacy in this campaign?" Don't hum around. Just ask point blank. And if the answer is yes, then you say, "Great, can we do a press release next week?" If the answer is no, "I'm not quite ready to do that," your next question is, "What do I need to do to prove to you that I'm worthy of your endorsement?" If the answer is no, move on to the next person. Now, during the course of this conversation, some of these people that you're asking may have some questions, and you need to be prepared to answer them. They're going to want to know, how are you going to win this thing? What kind of money have you raised? What kind of money do you think you can raise? What is your strategy? What makes you better than the other candidates who are going to be on the ballot? What are you going to talk to voters about in your campaign message? What do you think is on your mind? What is your position on this new development that's going on in this community? What is your position on the environment in this community? Because we got some pollution problems here. You need to be prepared to answer questions like that. And if you are clueless, when they begin to dig into what you are all about, the answer you're going to get is either a no or a maybe. You need to circle back if that's a maybe and do a better presentation. So my point is, be prepared to answer those kinds of questions before you do the ask, because you're more likely to get the answer you want than if you don't know the answers to those questions. I also want to make this point about the ask. You've heard me mention it, but it's worth repeating. Do the ask person to person if you can, because you can gauge the reaction you're getting from that person. When you're eyeball to eyeball, you can see their body language. You can tell if you just said something that struck them the wrong way, and you get time to correct that mistake when they do something funny with their facial muscles. This is the fine art of face-to-face communication. Words may lie, but facial muscles do not. If you cannot do it person to person, try and do it on Zoom or Google Meet. You want to be looking at the person you are asking, because it is the most effective way to do it. Now, here's an example of a candidate who did it the wrong way. We had talked about the need to get endorsements in her campaign, and I had suggested to her that it needed to be done this way. She called me the next day and said, "It didn't work." And I said, "What do you mean it didn't work?" He said, "Well, I called somebody and they weren't there, so I just sent them a text and the answer was no." And I said, "Can you send me the copy of the text that you sent them?" And it was, "Hi, I'm Judy. I'm running for Congress. Can I get your endorsement in my campaign?" Of course, the answer was no. What they did with the text probably spoiled any chance they're ever going to get. All it was a text message that didn't say very much, that asked the person to stick their neck out, for a candidate that they didn't even know. So believe me when I say face-to-face is a far better way. Do not do it through text. Do not do it through email. Do not do it on a Facebook Messenger. Call them, see them, talk to them face-to-face, because there is no better way in the world to do it. By the way, if you're running for office or think you might sometime soon, I have a free gift for you. It's a book called 12 Essential Steps to Prepare Yourself for a Political Campaign. It's yours and it's free. All you need to do is click the link below and you'll get your copy in an email. Now, all of this said about asking for a political endorsement, endorsements are only one cog in a campaign that has many, many moving gears. While this stuff is fresh in your mind, I'm going to suggest that you watch another video. It's called How to Run for Office, 7 Essential Steps. It will put this stuff in context and you will be exposed to the larger machinery of a political campaign, all of which needs to happen if you intend to be successful. Go click that link now and watch it.